Broadcast live.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Yes,
it
it
will
is.
be.
Where-
So I
where
was just about to say, so we'll go live in three.
Actually,
two-
here's the link. So if you want to go ahead and follow the chat, if there is any chat tonight, sometimes there is,
Yeah,
sometimes
that
there
would
isn't.
be good.
Yeah.
And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Flat Pack Show, episode 63. I'm, of course, Flatmeister. We've got Switchpoint.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Good old Switchpoint. We've got Nerd Waffle.
You don't need any fucking oil. I
What's
don't know.
that?
Just... Yeah. I was just watching those videos, so I'm like, anyways, hey everyone, thanks for tuning
We haven't got Crumple Point with us, but we have a very special guest. We have Brad. I want to make sure I got your second name right. Brad Ashworth.
Correct. Yeah, Brad Ashworth, aka Pencil for Life on YouTube.
Yeah, I did put your the link to your Indiegogo and your Twitter account in the description of the
thanks.
video.
I
It's
appreciate that.
all done and dusted. So, yeah, Brad, would you like to kick us off with a little bit about yourself? Who is Brad?
Sure. My name is Brad. I live in Utah, in the United States, and I am a comic book creator, and also I run an LCS. So, and my comic that is out right now is called The Handyman. This is the second time I've launched the book. First one I did not get anywhere, and reworked a bunch of artwork, and I came back. So, but I've been doing artwork for a number of years. Sal Valuto, who does The Phantom overseas, is my mentor, and I've been getting help from Sal Valuto, who's a friend of mine. He does Tomb Raider for Dark Horse, and then Chad Harding, who works on Justice League, and Harley Quinn for DC.
Yeah,
So,
sweet.
yeah.
So I think it was. I'm trying to keep track of. I think I give the credit all to John Lemus, bless him. Do you know John Lemus from?
I do.
Indie
Yeah.
Comic
John
Showcase?
does the Indie Comic Showcase. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been absolutely great. He's been putting us in contact with, yourself, as well as loads of other independent comic creators, and all of them have completely different art styles. We've had quite a few of them have, because we tried to do the interviews with as much days left on the Kickstarters or Indiegogos as possible, to give people enough time to to give people enough time to sort of see the show and also see your Indiegogo campaign. So that's why we tried to get people on as soon as possible. But so you want to tell us a bit about Handyman, because this art style is really cool.
Does he have large hands and does he hit people? Is that the whole premise of it?
No. So, Handyman revolves around Miguel, who's our protagonist for the story. He is a former cartel hitman for the drug cartels in Juarez, Mexico. And he leaves to go start and keep his family safe. He leaves to America and he becomes a handyman, essentially, in America. Because a lot of the guys who come over here, the illegals are handymen, things like that, construction workers, just to make ends meet, because they can't do normal jobs. And so he's doing that, and he gets called back to Juarez, Mexico to help rescue somebody. And while he's there, he kind of sees what's been happening while he's been gone, and something really kind of turns his stomach, and he decides to not come home, but to stay and fight for the people who can't, and kind of repent to get some redemption for what he used to do to the public down there. And so he takes off on a vengeance story at that point to take out the ones he used to call brothers. But the only caveat is he promised his wife he'd never use firearms again. So he uses tools.
Because this awesome close up of him holding a screwdriver up to a guy's neck.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely does that. That's in the first 10 pages of the book. So
straight into the action.
Yeah, we go pretty quick because you want to get people hooked right away into the story. And an easy way to hook people is through action, to be honest. And then you start asking yourself questions why, and then we hit you with the backstory a little bit, and then bring you all the way around. So,
yeah.
I noticed that you're kind of going for the very black and white with a little bit of red for your design.
Correct. Yeah, because I'm colorblind.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I typically don't color. I'm red-green colorblind. It's a pretty severe form of it, but I still can see color, but just not as well as other people. So I took to doing tonal artwork several years ago. It just kind of stuck with me. So I started with a cool gray set, then a warm gray set, and then I got some neutral grays, and then I started adding a splash of red or something like that to it to make it really pop, and it does a great effect. So
it really does. I mean, even knowing that, knowing the fact that you took like the fact that you were colorblind and you took advantage of it to basically like enhance the art that you currently have. What's going on?
Yeah, I try. Yeah, so yeah. So,
I mean, it definitely does stand out.
As I got, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, John, leave us. We were just talking. We were just talking about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So are you're like before the show I was talking a lot about the trades and then it's sort of a nice segue into this, I guess, is have you done any handyman work prior to
for work so
or just in like for work or just yourself? Do you enjoy doing that kind of stuff?
I love watching. It started in high school. I took construction classes in high school, automotive classes, stuff like that, and then my grandpa used to own an auto body shop, and I'd help repair cars with him. We built some trailers for his bike and stuff like that. He taught me the basics of car repair. So I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy watching car shows a lot. How they build them, how they make them. Same with construction shows and repair shows, and I actually learn from that, so I can do them in my own home eventually. But my own personal work though never ended up taking results like that. I did I worked at a data center doing tech support, hands-on with hardware for computers, stuff like that. I mean, I did build electrical whips and wires and running table and stuff like that, under floors and stuff. And believe me, I'm a fat guy, so when you see a fat guy squirming under a floor, it's kind of a sight to see. So, anyways, but yeah, and then I was working tech support, and then my buddy called and asked me to run his comic book shop, and that's where I've been the last several years. So, yeah.
Nice. So did the comic book shop life, did that sort of make you want to get into doing your own comic books, or was it some other?
So I was already doing artwork, when it was slow during tech support times, so I would sit there and draw when it was slow and things like that, because I was working the night shift, and then my buddy Sal, who I met actually doing tech support, his guy who runs the server came in and saw me doodling at the desk. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty good, Sal Valuto." I'm like, "Nah, I don't know Sal." He's like, "Well, you should meet him." And I gave him my phone number. Sal called me up, brought me up to his place. I got to meet the man. He's a really cool dude. And then I got to see his little office where he made the Phantom come to life. And it's pretty cool. He did the Phantom. He also did Black Panther for the longest stretch of Marvel history. Him and Bob Almond. So, yeah, he's a cool dude. And I started out by inking some of his pages for the Phantom.
Nice.
And then once I did that, he's like, okay, time to go make your own thing. And so I started doing my own artwork and messing with learning how to do some sequential work, analyzing pages, things like that. And then he's like, hey, Salt Lake Comic Con was just first starting. He's like, I got you a table. You're going to go. I'm like, what? And he's like, yep, you're going to go. Time to, push you out there. And that's what he did. And so I had my first booth ever at the 2013 Comic Con. And I was sitting right in front of Stan Lee's photo op booth.
Oh, nice.
My booth was. It was kind of cool. I didn't get to meet Stan. I got to see him walk by. That was it. I did get to meet the Black Panther, though. Not Black Panther, the Black Ranger. He came by, though, early in the morning.
Oh, cool.
He's a cool dude. From the original show. But I had my little prints there. I brought like 5 prints only. I didn't know what to bring. Didn't know how to do anything. Just bought 5 prints, but I knew I could draw pretty fast. So I brought my markers and some paper, and I just sat there. And then someone goes, "You draw?" Because I was doodling. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How much for a commission?" I'm like, I don't know. I said like $50. He's like, "Okay, I want Dr. Doom." I'm like, "Oh, okay." That was my first commission. $50, Dr. Doom. Thank you, Frank, if you're watching. Frank is still a good customer for me to this day. He was my very first customer.
Loyalty.
And dude, he got that thing signed by Stan Lee that day. Yeah, he was in line.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Then he has it framed on his wall at his house. I gotta go see it. So,
nice.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's how I got started. And then after that, I was kind of hooked because everybody started watching me draw. So every time I go to a convention, I bring everything I can to draw, and I usually just get a crowd around me while I'm drawing.
So you would say kind of like these are kind of like where you switched from tech support into over to like
artwork.
Yeah,
and then in between there is when I went over to the comic book store, and then it was just even more of a natural fit. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
So would you say? So of course, I mean, it sounds to me like it sounds to me like you're more you found yourself more into the passion of the artwork than it was, of course, for tech support.
Yeah, because I was always doodling since I was a kid. My mom, that's how she kept me. She was a single mom, so she always kept me busy with pencil and paper. And then, when I was being picked on in junior high, stuff like that, I just kind of always, went to the art room, just hung out and just did my own thing.
Yeah.
So that's how kind of over the years honed my skill. So,
well, I mean, like, I'm glad that you were able to like get more into a passion project than. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I know some people who are into tech support because it is a passion for them. I mean, I myself love working on computers, but it's one of those things like sometimes you just get into because you think that's what's you're best suited for, but then your passion lies somewhere else.
Yeah, like I still love computers. Like I don't like the software side of things. I always like hardware and putting them together. So it's kind of like the same with engines and cars and fixing stuff around the house. It's that physical thing. It's the working with my hands thing. That's the same with doing artwork because I do it all traditional. So
yeah, no, it's funny because I relate to exactly what you're saying. Like, it was like 6 or 7 years. My mom was a single mom. In junior high school, I used to get. Junior high school was the worst.
Stay there, dude.
3 years, 7, 8, 9, grade 7, 8, 9, and that was my escape. Was I had a couple of old school desks. One was like a really old wooden one with like an inkwell holder.
Oh, really? Okay.
And another one was just like a modern day one with like the whole metal frame and the plastic seat and stuff. And that was my escape, is drawing comics and stuff like that. So I totally relate to that. Now, does any of that struggle, or any struggle, you don't have to be specific, but any struggle in life, do you sort of put into the writing that you're doing?
So I didn't do any writing. I'm the illustrator.
You're the illustrator.
I'm also the creator of the book, so I just kind of like wrote a rough outline.
Sure.
And then because I'm also dyslexic, so I have a really hard time reading normal books.
Yeah.
So I got into comics actually in junior high. In high school, I didn't know there were comics at the time. What happened was we were reading the Scarlet Letter, and I was just having a hard time with it. Just wasn't getting it, and the words weren't making sense to me,
Mm-hmm.
And so my teacher though had a Cliff Notes version with images, with kind of a rough graphic novel at the time. I had no idea. She's like, "Here, read this." I went home, read it, came back, and I aced the test. She's like, "Oh, okay." And so she ended up getting me Cliff Note versions for the books for the rest of the year, and so that's how I passed the class.
Isn't it great when you get a teacher that actually gives a shit? And
yeah, and Mrs. Robinson was awesome. So she was cool, and so we kind of figured out at that point that comics were my thing, and then she actually turned me on to the Dragon's Keep, which is the store I work at right now, and so I went down there as a kid in high school and checked out comics and role-playing games and stuff like that, because a lot of it to me is theater in the mind or visual entertainment, so to me it worked out perfect. So,
I sort of understand, except for I'm not dyslexic, but I do have, like, with an actual novel, like reading 250 pages to 1,000 pages. I have attention span issues, so it's hard for me to concentrate on reading a novel, and that's how I got into comics. So I think that there's something to that with people who create and stuff like that. And so you don't do much of the writing other than sort of like a rough outline.
Yeah. So if I write something, I'm going to take so long at it, it would just be forever. And my vocabulary is not that great because I did not really catch on with English until later in life. Now I have read several books and several novels over the years, but they take me a long time typically to do it. So, and it's just because my head, I transpose letters all the time, or I'll pronounce things wrong because I can't read them right. So, yeah. But
so has anybody sort of this? I guess I'm getting kind of deep here, but
go deep, dude. That's fine.
So with the struggle of I'm sure it was a struggle with dyslexia. Dyslexia. Sorry.
I thought you were being intentional with that.
No, never. But
it's not a word people often say. Plus, it's spelled really horribly too.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost train of thought. Is that something that you sort of put, like, so you have dyslexia and have you had anybody who has said, like, oh, you have this or you have that sort of thing, sort of discourage you from doing anything because of certain setbacks that that they may have perceived that you had, even colorblind? You said earlier that
yeah. So, like, when I've gone for jobs and stuff before, typing or reading certain materials, and so it made it difficult, a little bit. So, especially if I'm trying to read them on the screen verbatim back to a customer, i.e. a call center job, it would mess up my speech a little bit. So I've had stuff like that. I've had stuff where I'm wiring things and the colors are wrong, and I didn't realize it, and I did it backwards. Like a couple patch cables and stuff like that I had to wire before. An older cable, like Cat 4, I think, or whatever it was before Cat 3. Can't remember.
Yeah,
I get it messed up sometimes.
But in relation to making graphic novels, like for example, I had one really. This is I sort of got this question from when we were talking about awesome teachers, but there was sort of some really shitty teachers too that I had, and we all have had. I didn't do a lot of writing for a long time because I am terrible. I don't know if I'm terrible, but I'm not great at spelling and grammar. And for ages, I let some really terrible teachers tell me that they were flat out like, oh, maybe writing's not for you because of your spelling and grammar. So basically, in this sense, like you said, you had dyslexia and color blindness. Have you had any people or teachers or anything that said, you know what, graphic novels maybe not your calling in life, kind of thing?
Okay. I've only had that with like some basic jobs, never with teachers. Teachers actually have all been pretty good to me in school. Maybe not my PE teacher a little bit, because I was always the fat guy, the chubby guy.
Yeah.
The only other time that happened to me actually was not too long after high school. There was a guy who I do follow on Facebook, and he was working at Marvel at the time. He's like, yeah, your artwork's just kind of, you'll never work comics or do the prose or whatever. And, you're just going to be an indie artist forever. I'm like, oh, well, thanks. And unfortunately, that guy got hit with the big life stick later, and some other stuff happened to him. But
yeah,
so I kind of feel bad for him. But I think when you just count someone out, I think what happened though after that encounter I had with this person, it drove me a little bit more to get better at what I was doing, because he kind of pissed me off, and I was like, screw that, I can draw as good as or better than other people,
yeah,
and it just kind of set some fire in me, a little bit. So,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's sort of what I really like to see in people, real and fictional. Is I like to see that I guess adversity in life, in the sense of doing it because you enjoy it, and not because somebody said that you could or couldn't do it, but because it's something you want to do. And it's so great when you hear about people who overcome other people's ideas, because people are shitty people sometimes. And
there's going to be shitty people everywhere in life.
Yeah,
it depends on how you react to it, on how you are going to change your approach either to them or to the situation
exactly
around it. So I learned that really good when I was I've had some major life challenges in life. I know everybody does. At the time though, I was going to get married at the time. My ex-fiance then decided to go on a religious church mission. And so I was waiting. My grandparents, my grandpa, and then my grandma later, both came down with cancer. They both passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. The 2 weeks though after my grandma passed away from breast cancer, I was diagnosed with cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, back in 2006, and so I started cancer treatment, and then my ex-fiance came home. and I was a completely different person during that time. The drugs changed me. Everything. I was grumpy, depressed, upset. Frustrated. My mom was completely out of it. She was thinking I was going to die now, and stuff like that. So it was a really, really trial for my family life at that time. And but I got out of it, and honestly, like after a few months of recovery, my brain started to clear up from all of the chemotherapy and the drugs and getting shot with everything all the time, and the pain, because they stick you with these drugs that force your body to make white blood cells, and to fight off infections and stuff like that, to keep your count high. That causes like interior bone pain. It's super painful. So you're on like narcotics, pretty much the whole time. Anyways, during that time though, when I was recovering and I was depressed and everything, my head started to clear. I lost my relationship. I'm pretty much starting over in life again, but I was like, dude, I'm alive. Some people don't get this feeling. Some people don't get to do this, and honestly, I was like, I don't care what anybody says to me anymore. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And so I try not to take everything as seriously as I used to in life anymore, because honestly, what someone says like on Twitter or whatever, that's not the world. I mean, the world's outside. The world is what we choose to make it. If we're going to choose to sit behind a computer all day and play footsies online, then that's going to be our world. But that's not the real world. The real world's outside. So I just kind of changed my attitude about things. Yeah. So
that's the thing that's quite scary, is when you don't want to leave this world without having put your mark on it, like without having created something. I think
and that could be anything though. That could be creating a family, or creating a book, or maybe creating a lasting impression in politics, or but not everybody can do everything, but maybe it's just creating or healing a friend. It could be whatever it is. Everybody wants to be something, and we are something to everybody, but we're not going to be something to everybody. So but we are to somebody. So.
Yeah. No, that and that's, I've been saying it for years too, is that nobody I think that people get other than the chemical factor, I think that people get sad and depressed sometimes because nobody wants to wake up and think, wow, I'm really not going to do anything today productive that's going to make my mark in the world, and that I hope that everybody I run into hates me. Everybody, I mean, if you're thinking about it, maybe that's might be what you say, but subconsciously, we all strive to fit into this world somehow and to be accepted by others, not necessarily by specific people or whatnot, but nobody actually wakes up and says, you know what, I hope that I'm a log today that just kind of walks around and is thought of as stupid and useless and stuff. Everybody wants to feel useful in some way or another. And
there's a good way to overcome that though, and that's volunteer for someone else. Like,
absolutely.
And people don't realize that. They're just so self-absorbed in what's going on Twitter, what's going on Facebook, that chemical response you get from likes and stuff like that is, unfortunately kind of driving us to what we think is good and what we think is bad, or whatever.
It's
honestly, it's, you see your grandma who needs help with groceries, help her.
Or
some random neighbor with something.
There's always
people, a better high.
there's always people looking for help, not because they want to cheat people out of money, but because they can't afford to hire someone, so they need some help. I was in all sorts of programs growing up, like I was in scouts and stuff like that, and there's nothing better than helping people doing volunteer work and stuff like that,
Yeah. I mean, at my shop, like kids will come in and ask me questions on how to draw, and I'll make usually time with them, like once a month or something like that, and we sit down and we look over their comics that they're making or whatever. And and anybody who has any art questions at all, I'm always free to give you feedback or whatever, because I like doing it at my shop. I don't know why I wouldn't stop anywhere else. So it's something I know and I love and I'm good at. Now, I don't mind helping someone else. Yeah.
Do you do a program at your shop, like a
Not
I
an
don't know,
official
come in
one? It's just they kind of come in like
whenever?
Hey, Brad, or they'll call me like, hey, I know you're not working today. Are you going to be there Saturday? Can we talk about stuff? Like, yeah, sure. As soon as I got time in between customers.
But you don't do let's meet up on Saturday and like with kids.
No, I don't have an official one. Just because sometimes in the summer we'll do stuff like that. But I already run events for local artists and everything all the time at my store.
Yeah.
So we when I can fit it in, it's just when I can fit it in, or they just stop by. I'm happy that they stop by. So.
So you said you prefer doing physical art over digital. Is there a particular reason that you prefer maybe one over the other, or?
Yeah, I just like the physical artwork more because I like the tactile sensation of making it and when it's done, and I have it right in front of me. And then when I give it to someone else, they're getting the actual, part of my creation. They're getting part of what I made. So it's a little bit weird when you're doing digital. For me there's a bit of a disconnect because it's just a digital file. It's just kind of sitting there, and you can give it to somebody, and what are they going to do? Are they just going to leave it on the window of their background of the computer? If the computer dies, it's kind of gone. Or it's just, prints though, you get that happy medium between the print, because I've had several customers who come back later at cons like, dude, I got your Metroid on my wall, I love it, it's awesome. So by the way, I noticed you're flipping through my Indiegogo right there. If you want to see some other artwork, you can go to my website real quick.
Yeah,
there's a doodle page.
Whereabouts is the link to that? Is that in your updates, is it?
No. Go to pencilforlife.com, and there's a section called Doodles. It's my unfinished website, but a lot of it is work that I've worked on at the cons and stuff like that, commissions I've done for people. So you can see other things I've done on there. So
you said pencilforlife.com, yeah?
Correct, yeah. I don't update it very often. But it does have some recent images and stuff like that from the last year or whatever.
Like pencil the number 4, or just
pencil
FOR?
the number 4 life. Yep, all together.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not coming up.
Hold on.
Google is doing it. Google's.
pencil4life.com. Just like my username.
No, not that one.
Glad I put it in the group chat there.
Cheers, thank you.
There you go. And then click on Doodles. What's that, the top one? No.
It'll take a few seconds to show up on the live stream there.
No worries.
Oh yeah, the Metroid one. Yeah, that looks bloody awesome.
I still sell that one quite a bit. So I only print a certain number though. Once they're gone though. So like I do Overwatch stuff, for cons and things like that back in the day. I'm not going to be doing them anymore because I'm just going to be doing Handyman stuff in my own books now.
Yeah.
But once I sell through what I got, it's done. But
that's a pretty cool. I forget what his name is from The Incredibles.
The Incredibles.
Yeah. Just taking a look here.
Syndrome.
Oh, Syndrome. Yeah. We were my buddy and I were just having some fun on Twitch one day, and we're like, "Hey, let's because Incredible 2 came out."
Yeah.
Incredibles 2, and so we're like, "Yeah, let's do that." So, and we just did that. Our own version of Syndrome. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of what I do at cons and stuff all day long. I'll get like 10, 12, 13 commissions.
This Marvel it's like a sort of panoramic picture you're holding up.
Oh, yeah, the big picture right there.
Yeah,
18 by 55.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's for a window display for one of our comic book shop stores.
Yeah,
we have 4 stores, and so yeah, that's gonna be they're gonna be printing that out and put it on the window. So,
while we're here, I mean, like, is there any? I mean, I see you like a lot of your stuff is inspired by a lot of like kind of like geeky stuff from like comics, from video games, movies, all kinds of different types of things.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, of all those mediums, like, which one would you think mostly influences you?
Gosh, it's probably honestly, I played a lot of first-person shooter and video games in my life, but World of Warcraft, the fantasy aspect.
Yes, yeah, boy.
I played that during my cancer treatment days, and that kept me sane.
Yeah.
So I would say fantasy, role-playing games, some comics were all on the same level, and yeah. So it's kind of mainly those 3 things. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely see the influence, and I was just kind of curious because, like, I mean, I see like all kinds of different like references here, and so if you were to choose, let's say you were to choose like your silly question, but if you were to choose like kind of your favorite like favorite kind of like fictional character, be it a hero, a villain, or something in between, like what would you kind of probably choose?
Favorite fictional character? It's probably gonna be Captain America, to be honest. So I started out with Spider-Man because I grew up with Spider-Man's Amazing Friends on Saturday morning. Spider-Man, Iceman, Firestar. The part
I remember.
that transforms. And then Voltron and Robotech and G.I. Joe. Transformers, all those, Thundercats. All my young influences. But when I got older and I started to kind of worry about, what's right and what's wrong in life, what do I stand for, and I don't have to agree with anybody. Like, we may disagree on political lines or personal beliefs, but I always went to the fact that you have the right to believe whatever you want,
Yeah.
And to me, that's where Captain America came in. And the Civil War storyline was where I really liked Captain America when he was talking with Spider-Man on the roof, ultimately, I can't remember the dialogue exactly right now, but
wasn't it on him coming out and being on as Peter Parker and it was mostly, I think, if I remember correctly, on basically Spider-Man was on Team Tony and Captain
he's on
America.
Tony's team. Yep.
So
yep, and he was talking about he has to fight for if you're the one against the many, if you believe you're right, you got to fight for it, and stand up for that one, because they have a voice too, and that's what I believe. I mean, you have the right to, like, let's just take Trump, because he's in the news every freaking day. So you like Trump, you hate Trump. That's fine. I don't care if you like him. I don't care if you don't like him. But you have your voice. You can say your voice. But you cannot just shout down the one person in the corner, maybe who disagrees with you against a bunch of other people. The mob rule is not the way to rule, you know.
Yeah.
And people are losing that these days, and so that's why I think Captain America is more important now than ever. But you know, they've changed him in the stories the last few years, but that's the way he used to be, and I believe that's the way it should be. So that's why I like him more now than ever, and that's why I like him in the movies, because he's the same way in the movies as he is in the books from, like, you know, the 90s to 2000, mid 2000s. So yeah.
I mean, how have you found with you? Because we hear about all these local comic shops closing as an unfortunate victim to, you know, these poorly written comics by Marvel and DC, like these products that they're shoveling out and not really putting any effort in. Like, how are you finding that, like, effect on your store?
If we were just running comics only, we probably would have got under a long time ago.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah. So we do more than just comics. We do trading card games, we do role playing games, we do board games. Mostly all non-electronic stuff, tabletop games like Warhammer. So I actually posted my numbers for the last 3 years at the comic shop on my Twitter page some months ago, and you can really see the decline of sales in 2016. I did the same year to date on all 3 years. It was like January 1st to mid-October for 3 years in a row. When 2016 happened, when Trump took over, boom, everybody just got out of comics. Like, sales took a nosedive. And we changed the way we order books at the store. So we used to order, like, oh, this is number 1, we're going to order 2 or 3 copies. You know, I took a look at who our audience was, you know, who's in our demographic in the area. And where I live is a very conservative area of the United States. Very conservative. 70-something% Mormon, you know, so, high Christian values in most of my customers, even though my shop caters to all types, because a comic book and game store is an oasis for anybody who feels alienated, right?
Yeah.
So my store demographic is a mix of all worlds, but the comic customers that I get who usually buy comics regularly every week mostly is conservative based. So we start looking at series, you know, like what's selling, what's not selling, why is it selling, and then we kind of make guesstimates on what'll sell on the rack, you know. So, like, we knew Iceman wasn't going to sell when they changed him in our area.
Oh God!
Like, totally. So we didn't order any, you know, at all for the shelf. Now, if a customer wants it, I'm happy to order it for them. We don't have any problems doing that. And, you know, we get some, you know, customers who order some odd things, you know, but, you know, because we're in the business of making money. We want to cater to people, but I'm not going to order 10 copies of a book that is not going to sell on my shelf. Yeah. So I'm out $40-something, you know, for my store. So we didn't order any, but, you know, they'll force us to take issues, you know, and we have to pay for shipping, which kind of sucks. But so we're just kind of conservative on what we order. You know?
Yeah, it's funny because it's funny you mentioned that. Like, just key thing you said was, you know, when people come into your shop, you just want to, how did you say it? You just want to cater to people being a nerd over basically whether you're a conservative or a liberal or a conservative or a Democrat or whatever. Which is funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's kind of cool because, you know, growing up in grades 1 to 6, you know, I got picked on because I was a nerd, and sort of safe space was going to comic book shops and video game shops and that sort of thing. Hell, even like Blockbuster Video or whatever, you know, because that's you get a lot of nerdy movies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Cartoons. So it's funny because like I've said this for years too, is that it's funny. It's not haha funny, but it's kind of sad funny that these days it's almost being a nerd means arguing whether you're Democrat or Republican or conservative and liberal or whatever they're called in each country or whatever. More than back in the day when we were fighting over what's better, Marvel or DC, who could win a fight, Superman or Batman, who could win even in the same label, you know. Even you'd get the Marvel guys coming in on DC arguments, you get DC guys coming in on Marvel arguments, and really like that was your basic fighting between nerds was over superficial stuff that at the end of the day when you leave the comic book store,
you're still both fans of the same thing.
You're still coming back the next day, still fans of comics and still buying comics and still arguing over fictional things, and everybody's still friends at the end of the day for the most part. It's not like that anymore. It's very much like
social media.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it is. It's the lack of one-on-one personal encounters.
Yeah.
You know, 140 characters. What are you going to chat through Facebook? What are you going to text? Nobody's talking to people anymore.
Yeah.
Well, talk to each other one-on-one, kind of like we're doing now. We realize we're the same. We have the same interests. We can get along, you know.
Yeah.
So,
that
the social media has caused a major rift in people being sociable with each other.
I think it's just that it's also blown up. Now I'm not against more people coming in. I think that, you know, the nerd culture is for anyone. I think no matter who you are, I think that there is a place for everyone. But
yes, you are correct.
At the same time, there are people who, because it is popular now, it's sort of a double-edged sword, or sort of not a double-edged sword, a good and bad thing at the same time, in the sense that now we are getting things that, as a kid, I wish we had, like cool gadgets and stuff, you know, cool, like, you know, live action movies, cartoon movies,
totally.
Even like I said, cool gadgets, cool board games, new board games, innovation, innovation. But you also get people who are coming in that they don't want to be able to fit into the culture. They want the culture to fit into them, which I don't think it goes the other way. I think that there is a place for everyone, but I don't think it goes the other way of like, okay, well, you are like, I think that there is a, like, say if you were someone who's not really into comics but you really like fashion and you come into comics, I think that there might be something that you could create that is fashion and stuff, but you can't really then decide, well, everybody who's a nerd has to dress this way. And I think that that's sort of one of the problems that's happening with it blowing up. Like, we get all this good stuff, but at the same time we get some bad stuff, in the sense of now there's expectations set or being set for nerds who were perfectly fine beforehand, and perfectly welcoming, and I think that that's the give and take of the situation.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that way before, and I'll have to give it some think, you know, before I reply on that one. But I personally,
because again,
go ahead.
Because again, they're expecting whereas before it was everybody's welcome. Now sometimes it feels like, now I might be completely wrong, but it feels like that you almost have to fit the molds, or you have to fit more molds. I shouldn't say you have to, but there are more molds that are starting to become, you have to fit into these molds if you're going to be accepted into the culture.
Yeah, that's kind of like
Is what I was
identity
trying
politics.
to say.
Yeah, that's kind of
Exactly.
like identity politics. And
Yeah.
the problem, I don't look at people that way. So when I'm dealing with someone at the shop, one on one, they're just a person. You know, they're just a geek like I am. That they believe in the same things. Dice, liberty, the pursuit of to read whatever comics you want. So it's all about you having fun with whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
But when you start breaking things down by categories, you start dividing yourselves, dividing ourselves, basically as a culture, as a people. You create rifts, you create factions. And with social media now on top of that as well, you get these fake outrage culture all the time. Everybody's outraged
call out culture and
all this stuff is just bullshit. Talk to me one on one. Let's have a drink, dude. We will be fine at the end of the day. We may disagree, but
do you think with the
understand you?
Yeah. I was just going to say, and I guess this could be a question for the entire panel. I mean, but since you're hearing me, I'll ask it of you as well. Do you think that, with the way the mainstream is going, and it's oversaturation of politics and trying to push it into everything, and this, and kind of as you said, the outrage culture and all that stuff. Do you think the future of comics, games, TV shows, all this stuff, do you think the future of it is going to be very much an indie based future?
Yeah, I think the stores are pretty much going to be over. I think the typical comic shop is pretty much going to be dead. How Alternative's going about it with direct distribution towards people is going to be more the way to go. I've been a friend of Peter's for a while. He was actually getting my first comic publishing gig. But I think he's right on the way he's going. And I think, that's why Indiegogos are doing so well. Kickstarters are doing so well for comics. The problem is the price point. We got to get it to where it's cheaper to print so we can get our comics into more hands of customers. I think digital may take off a little bit, but not as. I think people want the physical copy more than they want.
I think comics has always just kind of been a physical medium. I think people really just like that. With gaming, you can make an argument. Yeah, with gaming, you can make an argument. I mean, digital has definitely become more popular, especially and movies too. But and you can definitely make an argument that it is kind of with each generation, it slowly etches more and more to that way. But comics has been a very classical medium, and people, I think, when it comes to art. I think people just prefer having a physical of that regard.
And I think the monthly form or the single issue form, a 22-page form of comics, is probably on the way out. So, I was just talking with 656 Comics on Sunday on my channel, and because we were talking about Handyman, and they're from Juarez, Mexico, and so we were talking about the correlation between the two. Which was a really good conversation, by the way. Check it out. But they only get trades. They don't get monthly books down there. A couple of them do, but they're usually either thick chapter books from Japan, the mangas, or they get trades. That's all they get delivered down there. And honestly, I think that's a better way to do it, especially even with, Kickstarters and Indiegogos coming up. I think I'm going to have to, probably after Handyman and the next book I already have after these two are done, my next book, it's either going to be, we already have Handyman planned out for if we get funded and it does well, I already have it planned out for a few more books. I might just combine them all together. But my next personal project after this has already been completely written out. And I'll just have to make it as a graphic novel and do it all at once. Yeah. I think that's going to be the way to do it. It'll keep the cost down for consumers. They won't have to pay as much because shipping is going to be a killer. So it's the best way to do it. It really is. So
that's the thing with indie comics and the whole digital thing is that it's really difficult to sell your physical copy as an indie creator to someone in another country because of exchange rates, shipping, other taxes and fees and exports and blah 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 blah. I don't know all of the ins and outs, but yeah, you know me personally, like when I go to a Kickstarter and I look at it, I'm like, well, I'm in Canada, so the book, let me see, the thing I want, $20. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get that. Okay. Oh wait, sorry. There's like another $20 on that, so I'm paying $40.
Because shipping and handling.
Yeah.
Like for me to send a book to you guys in Canada, because the postal rates here just went up like 2 months ago. Right?
Yeah.
So it went up from like $10 to $15 for me to ship it up there, which is a pain in the butt. So if anybody orders from me Canadian, what I'm going to be doing is I have the price already set, but my buddy Larry up there, I'm shipping them all to Larry's house. Larry's shipping them all out from his. I got a few people like in Australia too, where I'm doing the same thing. So try to cut down costs where you can.
Yes, I think that the other thing. The problem with digital is that right now the problem is that it's super, I feel, and I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I think that if they were able to come up with a solution to this, it might be something that might push it over more to digital than physical. And that's every device that can read a comic book or program or whatever is, I always find, super awkward. And whereas like a comic, you can go over, pick it up off the shelf, open it up and read it. I've gotten a tablet to try to read comics, and it's just super awkward to try to read on.
That stupid,
and it's going to be a hard thing to solve because you get the tangible page flip kind of thing.
I don't think it's impossible to solve.
I don't know. Maybe they could create a book where you can flip the book and it can load up any.
I don't even think they need to do that. Yeah. Look at your phone right now, your cell phone. It's 16 by 9, right?
Yeah.
If you want to make a comic book for that phone, literally just make every panel 16 by 9, and you just swipe up.
Yeah.
When you go to the next panel, that's all you got to do. But you have to make it specifically though for the cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to find that happy medium between cell phone and if you want to do a page book later, maybe you just do it, a landscape style. Your comic book.
Yeah, well, you could just like if you made a physical copy, you could scan in each panel by panel, and then do what you said is just sort of frame it up that way. Like you would have your comic might be super boring, or not super boring, but more boring when it's on the print because it's not different sized panels. But you could still read it on the print, and then it would be easily to convert over to phone. But the thing is that there is something nice about even video games and even movies. I think that the way it should really go, a good business model, is something that Indiegogo and Kickstarter do, which is offer a free digital copy with the free digital with the physical copy, because they'd start doing that with movies, and I think it's a great idea. You go out to Walmart or wherever, you buy a movie, you have it for your shelf if you wanted, but you're on the go, or it's just more convenient to load it up on your TV from your phone. Great. But same thing with video games, it'd be kind of cool, but they don't do that quite with video games yet, is throw in a code to get it on your PC or on your console or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. That's why when you order a physical copy of my book, you get all the digital stuff as well.
Exactly. And I think that's maybe one benefit of comics going to to independent way, the independent way, because most comics independently do that sort of thing. You know, and so I you know, it's, I don't know.
It's all right, man. It's all right.
It's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
I was just reading through the page, and I love the names of each of the perks. Like the higher the tier, the more gorier and more brutal.
Some people don't like it. Like I heard a couple of negative responses, but I loved it, so that's why I did it. Because
it becomes more and more. It becomes more and more brutal and like
as you go up,
like the knuckle sandwich for $4 or £4. Sorry, I'm saying on.
Oh yeah, $5 US. That's basically just the straight up, punch to the face. It's just a digital copy, 48 pages. Yep.
Shot to the ribs.
Yep, that's the bonus digital content. So that's like we're going to throw in the sketchbook and layouts, stuff like that. So all the behind the scenes stuff, pictures, things like the mess on my table.
Let's see
the process. Yeah, kind of the process behind the process.
Yeah. Well, throat punch. That sounds horrid.
Yeah, it's the basic physical copy right there with all the previous stuff ahead of it. Yeah.
I only noticed with the eye gouge one, I was that white cover where it's just all white. Is
I know.
Obviously, like
I couldn't get it. I was trying to manipulate it so I could have like a wooden background behind it to make it stand out, but it's basically just a blank sketch cover.
I kind of like it that it's white. That's what you would see. Well, not see, but if you had your eyes gouged out, you wouldn't see it.
I never thought about it that way. Oh, yeah.
That's originally what I thought. You did it that way. Ooh,
no, it's going to be like a sketch cover. Kind of like Detective Comics 1000 today. Like they have a sketch cover variant.
Yeah.
So it's just hard cardstock paper that artists can draw on at a convention for you or whatever.
Yeah, I love the cover of the hammer to the head, and it's got the.
That's my friend Phil Sebi, who does Tomb Raider and stuff like that. He did did that cover for me.
Just like the blood and the light just on the edge of the hammer, and it's just sort of lurking in the shadows.
Yep.
Then we got the Death by 1,000 Cuts.
Yep. That's all 3 versions of the book.
Is it all carved up? Is that what with all the?
Yeah, that's the one where I'll be drawing on the sketch cover for you.
Yeah.
So. I'll do like a head sketch or something like that. One of the characters. Yep.
I love the thumbnail you've put in this one, the Dig Your Own Grave, and it's got. Have any of you guys? I don't know what movie that's from, but it's from some
Turkish movie. Yeah.
Is it a Turkish movie? And this guy, like, it's before they invented slow mo, or bullet time. This guy's pretending that he's reacting to getting shot in slow mo.
Yeah, it's like the longest death scene in movie history. Yeah. So I was like, dude, I gotta get that. Put it in there. So. Nobody's hit me up on it yet. Like, I mean, nobody's hit what do you call it? Hit me for copyright on it or anything, which is nice. So, yeah.
Was it?
I have a backup image, but that one to me is just hilarious. So,
yeah.
There you go. I found the video.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, it's the cheesiest, longest death scene. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but did you ever see Garbage Day, like where it's like Garbage Day, and then he like shoots him?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. You should look it up sometime.
It's so drawn.
Yeah, every time I see this dude, it's like, and he has the blood packet in his hand. He puts that to him.
Yeah.
He goes so from the mirror to the wall, to the windows, to the wall. He shot himself in the leg. Oh my god.
Like he didn't have a bloody back before, but now he does. So bad.
Oh dearie me.
Bad.
Well, this is something you see from an old movie for sure.
And then finally you've got a memoir from the Mortician.
Yeah. That's where
I
you
have
get
to.
original page from the book. So
I have to film something like this in the summer now.
Corey reacting to getting shot in slow mo.
yeah. So the memoir for the Mortician, if you guys choose to back that one, which would be awesome, I'm not giving you the crappy dialogue pages left and right. You know, they're all going to be good pages with action and stuff like that. So, because that's not fair to you guys. I mean, you're backing my book, you know, things like that. I try to be fair to everybody. So, you know, I'm going to give you something that's worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then right now I'm doing 10 sketch covers. I'll be throwing those in for physical backers on up. I'm just taking some sketch covers from Marvel and DC and stuff like that. And like I have one where Handyman took over the Batcave, and you know, I got one where Handyman also has he took Thor's hammer, so he's like all glowing with lightning, you know, and stuff. So I'm doing that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna just put those in random packages for my backers. And then the 656 comic guys from Juarez are going to be sending up their books, and I'm going to be stuffing some of those in backer stuff as well. So there's going to be plenty of love given around to all my backers and stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I want to give back to you guys. You're helping me make my book happen, helping me print it, and so I want to give you guys some love. So yeah.
I mean, you can't beat a good, bloody, gory revenge story.
Yeah, revenge, but with repentance, because he's trying to, if he can, repay what he did to that community when he was that hitman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we all want to, repent for our sins, in some form. So, yeah.
Is your writer's last name Carpenter?
Yeah, Tyler Carpenter.
I just clued into that right now, and that is ironic. Yeah, Handyman by a Carpenter.
Yeah, we didn't plan it that way. I just kind
of no, I know, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's good. You got 44% of your.
We're 44% funded. Now, everybody knows that, if you're in the community, you kind of knew with the drama that happened the other week. And, so I am technically funded, but I don't want to put it all on Doug's shoulders. So I'm still pushing to help out so Doug doesn't have to shell out a ton of money. So, but, yeah.
Well, I mean, by all means, if we can get you the money yourself, I mean, that's...
Dude, I would rather do that, and I don't have to rely on anybody else. That would be the best thing.
Yeah, I've got Time Code Mechanics in the chat says this book looks gorgeous.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, thanks very much.
So, go on. Are you going to say something, Switch?
Well, no, I think my real question was... and I understand that you said you wanted to go with the Handyman because you have the setting of the character, but, like, specifically, was this kind of like always a plan and place for some time, or did it go through like iterations over time? Or
so yeah, when we created the book the first time, it was not. I mean, the general character was the same. Story was slightly different. We were gonna go over the top, kind of crazy with it. Like we were gonna have Trump's wall. He was gonna have to climb back over Trump's wall, and we were just gonna do some silly stuff. He's going to be caught outside of a Home Depot, and just really stupid things. But as we evolved the character and the story, we were sitting there thinking to ourselves, like, we want something that has meaning, And Tyler and I kept talking back and forth, and that's when we kind of came up with, the kind of the repentance story. A man who's trying to make good, with what he can do. I mean, after he sees, and also protect people who cannot protect themselves. And then we started doing some research on some of the drug cartels in Mexico and stuff like that, and how bad it is down there in Juarez. So I mean, it's really brutal. It's like night and day difference. Like, it's living in a war zone all the time. Like, threat of violence against you all the time if you say something wrong. Beheadings, people being hung from the sides of, freeways. It's brutal. Yeah. And so, I mean, the money that America, North America, Canada bring into the drug trade and cause that kind of problem down there is just astounding. And so that's why they have all that money, and they have private armies and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a really brutal thing down there. So we the tone changed, and we think it's a good story now compared to what it was before. So yeah. Do a little bit of research on Juarez, Mexico, and you're gonna learn a lot real quick. So,
well, I mean, we definitely did a lot of research. That's for sure. I mean, I do like
we watched many documentaries and then talked to a bunch of people down there. So.
So how long did it take you to do research for this?
So we started this last July. So, and then we were just kind of having fun with it, about through the first part of September when I started the last campaign. And then when the campaign wasn't going so well and I didn't know what was going on, I didn't even have a name yet. Nobody knew who I was. I started getting traction, and then I was talking with some other pros and somebody like, you really need to think about it. And that's when we really kind of dug down and rethought the story and the outline. So, yeah, and that's when we kind of came up with where we are now. It's a much better story now than what it was.
So if someone came up to you and said, "Hey, I want to do comic books," what would your number one advice be to them?
Is your story ready? Because you want to make sure you have a really good story before you start. And then you say, did you have an editor to look at it? You want an editor to look at that to make sure there's no problems. And it feels right, when you're reading. So
awesome.
Start with that, and then you do the artwork. So make sure you have money.
Make sure you have money.
Well, if you're not doing the artwork yourself, make sure you have money. Yeah, because writing a book is a lot easier than it is paying an artist. So
that's fair.
That's why the costs are as low as they are, because I'm not getting paid.
Would you also say your just a quick question here? How would you what would you say some final words? How would you sell this? How would you sell this book as some final words to some of our guests?
Quick thing that my writer came up with was John Wick meets Home Depot. Yeah,
that's a great way to sell it.
Yeah, dude. So John Wick meets Home Depot. You're gonna have a good time. It has a meaningful story. So please check it out back today, and help spread it out too. Like I have posters and flyers available that I put up on Facebook and Twitter. You can download, put it, take a couple bucks if you don't mind, and throw it up in your local comic shop. Pass some flyers around. I wouldn't mind. I would love that. Some help that way, because I'm only one guy and I can't get across the whole country or the world for that matter. And just help spread the word. I mean, if you got a project you want me to pimp, no problem. Hit me up. Send me a flyer. I'll put them up in my shops. So I have no problem doing that for you in return. So
perfect.
Sounds like a great trade-off, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so $2 to print it, put it in a shop. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
I really wish you all the success, man.
Thanks, dude.
Should we go to any sort of final words to wrap up? It goes so.
Well, you're not feeling so hot right now. So how about we don't really need to do final word. We'll just kind of do our peace out, and we'll let you go. I don't want to keep you because I know how bad your back can be sometimes.
Yeah.
So
sorry to hear about that.
Oh, it happens. It's I mean, physical disabilities and all that stuff, right? Sometimes we luck of the draw, as it is.
Yeah, dude, I understand.
Yeah, us here at the Flat Packer ragtag bunch of people, whoever, we have our own things too. So we like helping others as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you guys are my solid rock.
Oh God, I'm more like a sandstone.
Well, hey, you're welcome to come over to my channel too and hang out sometime. So
yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, you got a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, Pencil for Life. Just like my name, PENCIL 4 LIFE. Come on over, have some fun.
Yeah, I'll have to add those other bits into the description. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So, Brad, would you like your sort of final word, just for
final word? Treat others as the way you would wish to be treated. Have a good time, and God bless you all.
Yeah. What about you, Switch?
Well, I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. And by all means, check out the book. If you have any questions, I'm sure if you hit him up on his Twitter there, and his for the Pencil for Life, so it's at twitter.com/pencil for life. It's in the description. If you just go up and ask any questions, I'm sure he can answer all of them. If not him, of course, your writer can also help while answering questions too, right?
So sorry, were you still talking?
No, I was wondering if I'm sure that if they ask you were you the writer about Handyman, you can answer. Yeah.
So you're talking to me? Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah.
So
I'm happy to answer
hit them up on Twitters if you have any questions. If you're just kind of concerned about like what you're purchasing before picking out the book, by all means, look. But check out the Indiegogo as well, and like you said, you have a YouTube channel, so go to the Pencil for Life YouTube channel, and if you guys want to subscribe to them, or at least see a few pieces of content, get an idea of the type of person that you're going to be funding if you're going to be funding them.
Yeah, totally can.
Exactly.
What about you, Nerd Waffle?
Just make sure to support this Indiegogo campaign, and I just want to say that it was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm hoping that this book does really well. I was saying to the guys before this, I actually had an idea for Handyman Superhero 2, so I think this is a really great book, and I think that it deserves some support.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So again, that sort of share the same sentiment. For people, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this episode later on, you got 24 days, damn it! Otherwise we're gonna send Handyman round.
Yeah, what's funny is some of the guys who support the book, they do little Handyman verses, because the Handyman can. They do a little verse beforehand, and then they do the Handyman can at the end, and it's kind of funny. And they'll tweet about them sometimes. They're pretty good about it. So
that's hilarious. Yeah.
I also, I wish you the best of luck with this Indiegogo. You really deserve all the success, and also with your comic book shop. I hope that your shop goes from strength to strength, and
the shop is actually doing well, so we're doing pretty good. So I'm not really too worried about the shop. So, but
I mean, like you said, he has other things other than comics to sell, and that's actually the best way to run shops like that. Have multiple things. I find.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
All right, so I could see John Lemus was talking to, I think, Timecode Mechanics, some guy called Nathan. I'm not sure if Timecode Mechanics is a creator himself, but John Lemus
has a book too.
Yeah. So John Lemus is at it again in the chat. He's like, "Oh, you want to be on the show? Contact any of the guys." But yeah, by all means, if you know any other creators that have an Indiegogo or Kickstarter, or that they're announcing starting one up soon, direct them to our show or to our Twitter. DM either me, Switchpoint, Nerdwaffle, or Crumplepoint. And we'll have you on as a guest. We're always looking to showcase new projects. It's been the Flat Pack Show. It's been me, Flatmeister. It's been Switchpoint.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say.
It's been Nerdwaffle.
Remember to hug the person next to you, and have a great day.
No Toasty this time.
Toasty.
And it's been our esteemed guest. It's been Brad.
Ashworth. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you ever so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, dude. And with that, we'll catch you in the next episode of the Flat Pack Show. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.
Peace.